Now we are going to move into a brief panel discussion for which it's my privilege to be the moderator. On the panel today, as you can see, we have 5 panelists that have all been collaborators and contributors to the APPHC partnership and represent a breadth of perspectives, and really looking forward to hearing those perspectives today. You'll be hearing remarks from them reflecting on how the APPHC partnership has informed or advanced their work related to PPH. And the panelists today include Dr. Voahangy from the Madagascar Ministry of Public Health, Christina Mchoma from the Ministry of Health in Malawi, Serge Raharason, the Chief of Party with USAID's bilateral project in Malawi, the Access Project in Madagascar, implemented by Management Sciences for Health, and Foya, the Chief of Party with USAID's bilateral project of the APPHC project in Malawi, also implemented by Management Sciences for Health, and Deborah Armbruster, Senior Maternal and Newborn Health Advisor with USAID Washington. We are going to start the panel with some pre-recorded remarks from Dr. Voahangy from the Madagascar Ministry of Public Health. Can we play those now, please?
Bonjour, je me présente, Dr. Andrianarisoa, je travaille au niveau du ministère de la Santé, donc en tant que chef de division de la maternité sans risque. J'ai travaillé depuis 2019 en tant que collaborateur du projet APPHC. Ce que j'ai remarqué pour ce projet, il y avait une bonne collaboration avec les autres organisations, les partenaires qui œuvrent dans le domaine de la santé maternelle et néonatale en général. Et c'est la première fois aussi qu'il y avait un groupe de travail technique et des regroupements avec redynamisation des acteurs dans le domaine spécifique de la prévention et le traitement de l'hémorragie postpartum. Ensuite, la formation que l'on a dispensée, qui a été dispensée à travers le monde virtuel, ça aide beaucoup les prestataires, surtout les prestataires qui travaillent, qui sont en seul poste. Ils trouveront un peu plus de confiance lorsqu'ils prennent en charge les urgences obstétricales. Les opportunités dans ce projet, donc, c'était l'appui aux prestataires. L'appui aux prestataires pour renforcer donc leur habitude à réagir devant des cas d'urgence. Surtout devant les cas d'urgence des hémorragies, du postpartum. Certes, ils connaissent déjà les théories, comment prendre en charge ces cas d'urgence, mais c'est ce qu'il faudra renforcer, c'est comment ils font faire pour avoir cette réaction devant des cas d'urgence. Voilà.
Many thanks to Dr. Voahangy for those remarks. I'd like to move next to Christina Mchoma from the Ministry of Health in Malawi. Christina, if you could turn on your video and share with us some brief reflections about how, from your perspective, the APPHC effort has advanced the Ministry of Health's policy priorities to date, or how it might do so going forward.
Okay, thank you very much. As Minister of Health Malawi, we've noted that the APPHC study has given us a lot of evidence-based practices Just to mention a few, the near-miss auditing, the use of a birth companion during labor and also during postnatal period. And it has also shown that the teamwork is something that can contribute to reduction of maternal deaths due to postpartum hemorrhage. With these evidence-based practices, the government of Malawi through the Reproductive Health Directorate will make sure that it has used this information to change the way we do things, that is in our policy documents, including the obstetric guidelines, even protocols. We're going to include the things like birth companion. Yeah, we used to have birth companions only maybe in a few selected central hospitals, but now with this research, it is doable to have it been in the primary health facilities. And of course, the near-miss has already been integrated in the maternal death surveillance and response. So I think it will help us to even plan our services and also to prioritize areas that have been shown that they can bring down the maternal deaths in Malawi due to postpartum hemorrhage, which is the leading cause of maternal deaths in Malawi at almost 34%, which is too high. So the simulations, I think, will continue as opposed to maybe classroom teachings. So I think these things will be used here in Malawi. Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, Anne Foya, who is the chief of party for the ONSE project in Malawi, she had an urgent meeting that she had to, so she was unable to stay on for this panel. She did want to make sure to share that that the ONSE project in Malawi has taken the recommendations into their ongoing program implementation, while at the same time continuing advocacy with the Ministry of Health to make some of the recommendations into policy and SOPs as well as practice guidelines. We'll turn to Debbie Armbruster. Debbie, if you could please turn your video on, it would be wonderful to hear your reflections from a USAID Global Washington perspective on some of the lessons learned from the APPHC project and how that might influence USAID maternal health programming efforts moving forward, and how to continue to advance not just PPH, but maternal health more broadly. Thanks, Debbie.
Really say a big congratulations to both HERD and Breakthrough Research on their very successful collaboration. And the many valuable learnings that we are hearing about for both of the countries. And, a big thanks is owed to the missions for kind of joining us in trying to sort through how, in fact, we were going to work together and being patient as all of these things got worked out. And it's been such a pleasure, particularly over this last year, as you finally see all of these things kind of coming to fruition and how they were playing out. I think the other thing is the missions gave us a lot of honest feedback to really help us with that. So, there's a lot accomplished, and even in the face of COVID, which we thought was going to undo us at points in time. And we will be taking forward the improving blood system. So we really are hoping to build on what you've learned there in Malawi on that one. So I think kind of to wrap up, there are many pieces to learn from. I think the big one, which is important coming from HERD and Breakthrough Research, is really giving us ideas about how you can take implementation research, connect these different points in a country, and allow to take the findings then and help move them forward. I think a couple of areas that we do need to do more with, that I know, at least in Madagascar, they're really looking for, is the whole costing issue of really understanding as we go along, as we're doing this research, what's it going to cost? Because that makes a big difference in terms of what can actually be delivered, or what countries are going to be able to work on realistically. And I think the other point that I heard from countries, at least from Madagascar, was that, why are we so focused on PPH? Well, these were funding that were particularly targeted there, but that many of these learnings are much broader, and that we need to recognize that. And a lot of the learnings, whether it's the mentors or other components, actually are much broader, and we should realize that and be able to build on that. So I think those are some of the things that we hope to take forward. I did appreciate hearing everybody speaking, and I think I really appreciated the Minister of Health, the Minister of Health from Malawi, talking about that this is going to change the way we do things. And I hope that will be true in both countries, and that I hope that these learnings can be taken forward for the Washington office of USAID, as well as some of our other missions. And again, I want to say a huge congratulations to all, and a thank you. And we look forward to continuing to learn as the bilaterals take forward some of these innovations. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Debbie, for those remarks. Okay, so I think that I'm going to ask my colleague, I will stop sharing my screen. I think we have a couple more slides to share before I hand off to Jim Sherry for some closing remarks on behalf of the partnership. Great, wonderful. So we wanted to make sure and encourage all of you to visit the Implementation Science Collaborative YouTube channel, which is a great platform for information related to APPHC. It's but specifically to go and look at the videos that are there that really you can hear from many stakeholder voices from both countries that reflect on many of the specific things that you heard about today. So the birth companions, provider burnout, mentorship, simulation training, as well as COVID-19. So we really encourage you to look at those and to get a sense, even more of a sense of kind of the engagement and the impact of the APPHC partnership from different perspectives at the country level. And with that, I would like to hand over to my colleague and partner in this, Dr. Jim Sherry, for some closing remarks. Jim, over to you.
Thanks, Laura. I think most good things have been said, but let me repeat just a couple of them. Oh, I like the picture, the 5-year-old picture that you had of me better than the current one, but this will have to work. So first, I again, to compliment the many actors in this who extended themselves to make it a success, and it was very much that. It does, like any success for process, this feels much more like a launch than it does an arrival at journey's end. And I think we need to take note of that in terms of how we both continue to unpack the many things that are still here, and then look forward. So to recap, this was an unexpected resource applied in a fairly time-bound way to a challenging and sometimes viewed intractable problem. Added to the complexity of that was that it was, because of the nature of it, it was across 2 countries and 2 languages with 2 different bilateral programs, included 2 global projects and 2 USAID divisions, and, multiple ministries and their partners on both, first, a difficult set of issues to begin with, and then exacerbated by this trial by fire, which that we are still enduring in the pandemic, but which the partnership assembled both was sustained through and adjusted to. That in and of itself is yet another level of success. So I think we've been blessed in this with good process, great partnership, and very relevant products and insights, which I think any of you following the discussion today and no doubt the discussions that will follow will see, as I said, there's still much more to unpack. The effort, it responded to, and I think successfully increased demand for technical collaboration around these issues. So it did so, building to address the immediate challenge that it was offered. But I think in the process that it demonstrated that it could address, both what was available and what was relevant for what was both the unexpected challenges that came up to it in the process. So I think each of the many partners in this really just deserve, there was lots of rough times along the way, but I think each, just deserves just extraordinary credit for what they've demonstrated, the proof of principle that they have established in both application of good implementation science and good partnership, and what derives from that. I think as well, we're always a little cautious to compliment the donors in these things, but I think in this case, we really need to do so with USAID. I think it showed good insight in terms of initiating this work. I hope there will be continuing reason to compliment for its continuing effort to continue the work. As most of us appreciate, though there's much work to be done, the energy in collaborations is just not financial. I mean, it's the excitement of looking through the front windshield as we kind of go into new territory, even while we're having to look through the rearview mirror and tying up and picking up many of the loose ends and the good things that are still to be done. So with that, I'll wrap up with a minute to spare and to flag for you that as you exit your Zoom, you will be asked to complete a survey, as you would expect. And so we hope you'll do so, and we'll look forward to this continuing collaboration with all of you in the future.